Let me introduce my panelists. We have Lutfey Siddiqi, Special Envoy for the head of the interim government of Bangladesh. Welcome.
The language of net zero by 2050, the language of average temperatures perhaps do not do justice to the fact that climate change is already here, it's just not distributed evenly. So the best way to get developing countries to engage on mitigation is actually through adaptation.
When you talk about sort of premiums for the products, you know, we are within a global trading system, market capitalism prevails in most places. What would fetch this premium? What would need to be done to accomplish this?
So decarbonization by, let's say, a textile factory in a developing country that has no exports of their own, but they supply the linen to a t-shirt manufacturer that then sells it to Europe,
right,
which then helps the Scope 3 reporting obligations of that European brand. So it's genuine value being added to them. You'd hope that some of that value would find its way back to the factory,
right,
as opposed to them negotiating on bringing prices down as if none of that improvement has happened. So that's really what I mean as the positive value creation in this process.
I see.
Yeah. I'll just also say that my line manager, Professor Muhammad Yunus, has probably done a tremendous amount of work in bridging that gap, the fact that a certain group of people were deemed not to have been credit-worthy,
right,
but now they clearly are.
Right.
So it's real innovation, but also communicating about that innovation that narrows the gap between actual risk and perceived risk.
Right. Well, that's an inspiring note on which to draw this part of our conversation to a close.
To just generally speaking, the cost of capital, particularly from private sources, will only come down if perceived risk premium comes down.
Right.
And that requires completion of markets, completion of mainstream capital markets, but also markets for carbon credits, biodiversity credits, which can then be packaged into instruments, into bonds that pay subject to certain outcomes in the language of mainstream derivative contracts even. It's like Singapore regulator came up with a transition taxonomy, because until then, you could either be green or you could be brown. The fact that there is a transition, there's a journey,
right,
and you want to be able to fund that journey without being tarred by, you know, why are you financing a coal-powered plant? Well, there is a journey, there's a credible pathway. So
a brown to green journey.
That's right. We should be talking about how can $1 of concessionary money be used to crowd in $10 of commercial money, so that altogether you have 11, as opposed to what happens right now, which is at best 1 of concessionary brings in 1 of commercial.